Now on Sunrise and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, the Calhoun County Commissioners Court met Monday to discuss their options following the death of the county judge in Calhoun County. And an Israeli cabinet is set to vote on a ceasefire deal with Lebanon that sources say should pass. Plus, the country's largest employer announces they are rolling back diversity, equity, and inclusion practices. We'll tell you more just ahead.
And I'm sure you noticed if you stepped out the door this morning, the front came through last night. You're looking at the temperatures plummet after the front came through last night about 6 o'clock. But that was front number one. We've got three more on the way. Look at all that in the weather coming up.
High school football is warming up for the playoff. See which coach we're talking to and more in your sports.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning, Crossroads, and happy Thanksgiving holiday week.
That's right. We're just 2 days away from Thanksgiving, aren't we?
That's right, Parker. What dish are you looking forward to the most?
Wow, that's actually a tough question because Thanksgiving is probably one of the best food holidays.
There's the green bean casserole, there's sweet potatoes, there's mashed potatoes. Some people like mac and cheese with their turkey.
Any of that, honestly.
And gravy?
Yeah, honestly. Well, if you're talking about all this stuff right now, it's making me hungry. And if y'all are tuning in with us this morning, I'm sure what else is making you hungry, at least for Thanksgiving weather, is the weather out there right now because it's a bit cool out there. You've probably noticed if you stepped out the door. It's 51 in Victoria, all courtesy to that front that came through last night. Dew point's 11 degrees off at 40, bringing that humidity to 66%. So just a little bit humid out there, not that much. You definitely notice that has dropped as well, the drier air coming through us right now. But temperatures all across the board, we're all in the low 50s, some even in the upper 40s. Unless you're along on the immediate coast, you're in the mid 50s because you're right next to that warm 60-degree water. But like I was just saying, we still have a northerly breeze going through us right now between 10 to 15 miles an hour sustained. And that is actually bringing us some wind chills about 2 to 3 degrees lower than the actual temperature right now. So I would recommend bundling up this morning. The winds that you see right here will be on the decrease as we go into the afternoon, all the way down to calm to 5 miles an hour. But the remnants of the front is out there in the Gulf, and we still are expecting 2, like I said, 3 more. We're going to look at that later because if you're seeing your kids out the door, bundle them up this morning. But it's going to be a lovely afternoon. We'll look at that next.
Breaking overnight, Russia launched a record high 188 strike drones into Ukraine on Monday night and into this morning, expanding its long-range campaign against Ukrainian infrastructure to coincide with the onset of winter. Ukraine's Air Force said on Telegram that it downed 76 drones. Another 95 were lost in the flight, possibly due to jamming efforts, and 5 flew into Belarus. Russia also fired 4 Iskander-M ballistic missiles as part of the launch. None were shot down. The Air Force wrote critical infrastructure objects have been hit and private and multi-apartment buildings have been damaged in several regions due to a mass attack by UAVs. The Calhoun County Commissioners continue to examine their options following the death of County Judge Richard Meyer last Monday at the age of 74. The court met Monday for a special session but left without any action. As it stands, there are 3 possibilities. Commissioner Lisi remains as judge pro tem for the remainder of the term. Pro tem judges don't have the full power of a normal county judge. The court could also request a special election to fill the role. That route would require approval by Texas Governor Greg Abbott. The final option is to appoint someone to the judge's seat until the next scheduled election in 2 years. The commissioners will have another special session next week. Commissioners also want time to reach out to constituents for their opinion on what path they should take moving forward. They're trying to move quickly after Judge Meyer's unexpected death last week. The Israeli cabinet will vote on a ceasefire deal in Lebanon today. Netanyahu signaled his potential approval for the emerging ceasefire with Hezbollah during a security consultation with Israeli officials Sunday night. The Israeli cabinet will vote on the proposed deal today, and it's expected to pass. Sources familiar with the negotiations said earlier that talks appear to be moving positively toward an agreement, but acknowledged that as Israel and Hezbollah continue to trade fire, one misstep could upend the talks. This morning, a major decision at Walmart, not about holiday sales, but about diversity programs, also known as DEI programs. It's joining a growing list of companies rolling them back.
This morning, the world's largest retailer says it's rolling back some of its diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. Walmart, which employs more than 1.5 million Americans, joins a list of major corporations revising DEI initiatives. The company saying every decision comes from a place of wanting to foster a sense of belonging, to open doors to opportunities for all our associates, customers, and suppliers.
This is the single largest employer in the United States. We are talking about a company that is worth almost $1 trillion on its own.
Robbie Starbuck, a political commentator and anti-DEI activist, celebrated the development. He's previously pressured companies, including Lowe's and John Deere, to change their policies.
We were able to have frank conversations with Walmart. And as I've said for a long time, I don't ask companies to take on my political views. I am simply advocating for corporate neutrality.
Walmart says many of the changes to its DEI programs were already planned and not a result of conversations with Starbuck. The company is pledging to better monitor third-party marketplace items to make sure they don't feature sexual and transgender products aimed at minors. Walmart says it will also review its funding to Pride events and will end racial equity training programs for staff. GLAAD, an LGBTQ advocacy group, has said we cannot let fear and fringe anti-LGBTQ activists dilute the work that has been done in the name of visibility, acceptance, and opportunity.
Companies need to listen to our movement. We are powerful and growing every single day. We will not stop until we have eliminated wokeness in corporate America.
Walmart also says it will no longer consider race and gender as a way to increase diversity when offering supplier contracts. Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
And that leads us to your viewer poll. You can scan the QR code on your screen to take part. This morning we want to know, do you think diversity, equity, and inclusion should be taught in the workplace? Okay, let's take a look. 8% of you say yes, and 92% of you say no. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. President-elect Donald Trump is no longer facing charges connected to the January 6 U.S. Capitol riot. Special counsel Jack Smith filed a motion to drop all 4 felony charges against Trump in connection with his effort to overturn his 2020 presidential election. Smith's office is seeking to dismiss the charges ahead of Trump's inauguration, in line with the Justice Department's longstanding position that it can't charge a sitting president. Trump was indicted on 4 felonies in August of 2023. Conspiracy to defraud the U.S., conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of and the attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. Remember, follow us on our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Let's go look at our clock up here. It is 6:38 on our Tuesday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up next on 25 News Now Sunrise. We're taking a pair of poultry pardons at the White House, all part of a long-standing tradition.
I'm ABC's Perry Russom in Washington. Trump says he wants to impose tariffs on the U.S.'s neighboring countries. That story coming up.
And also coming up next after the break in the full forecast, it's going to be a lovely day all across our beautiful Texas. I'll tell you how nice I think it's going to be near you. But coming up later on Sunrise, you heard me talk about 3 more fronts. Yeah, 3 more. We'll look at that later. Well, good morning, Crossroads. You're looking live in Cuero, and look at that. As that sun's coming up, you can see all kinds of colors out there. Really pretty blue skies out there right now. You can actually see a couple of clouds that are starting to form out there this morning way out in the distance, and we're going to be looking at much more mostly cloudy skies here in the next couple hours. We're going to look at that after this because it's 47 in Cuero right now. Dew point a whole 9 degrees off from that temperature, bringing humidity to 70%, so a little bit humid up there in Cuero, not super humid. Usually we see it like 80-90% range with us right next to the coast. But that humidity will actually be dropping today, down with your dew points down into the 30s today after the front. So I might maybe recommend some chapstick if you have some dry lips. But otherwise, with some clouds you just saw there on the camera a second ago, that's going to pick up to mostly cloudy skies, as you can see right here in the morning hours. And then the clouds will be on the decrease as we go into the mid-late afternoon. I'm thinking sometime after 3 or 4, we're going to start losing those clouds all the way down to mostly sunny skies, and then mostly clear skies all the way up until around midnight. And then around midnight, after that, we're going to pick up some more mostly cloudy skies for the overnight. But with mostly cloudy skies until the mostly sunny skies in the later afternoon, it's going to be a lovely day today, all thanks to the front that came through last night. We're looking for lows today in the low 70s. Some might even be in the mid 70s. I'm thinking 73 in Victoria, same in Cuero as well, and about 71 in Port Lavaca before the mostly cloudy skies brings our lows tonight and the mid and upper 50s. But for the rest of this week, we are still on that temperature roller coaster thanks to all the 3 fronts coming our way, and we're going to look at that coming up next.
Victoria West High School is in the middle of a historic playoff run. Last Friday, they just breezed by Alice, and their competition will be upped with a familiar opponent. This familiar team I'm talking about is West's Week 8 opponent, Bernie. The Greyhounds being one of the only two teams to beat West during the season, but after last Friday's impressive victory, head coach Boyce plans to capitalize on the momentum for this week's game.
You know, you just never want to take these things for granted, and I'm very excited for this team. You know, there's a lot of chemistry on this team, and just super proud and happy for our seniors. You know, get to be around them, just continue to try to extend the season and, you know, keep them around as long as possible.
All right, can West rewrite the Week 8 loss against Bernie this Friday in their 5A regional matchup? Kickoff is expected to be at 6 p.m. The neutral site for this game has yet to be announced, but make sure you stay tuned on Crossroads today as we continue to update you on that. Calhoun pulled off a major upset this past Friday by beating Davenport in a 42-28 victory, so their season remains to be intact. The emotion was at an all-time high for the Sand Crabs, and that comes with the hard work, according to Coach Whitaker, and he's excited to take on another familiar face in Lavernia.
You get a chance to redeem yourself, but that's what we talked about all week long, was this was a redemption game for us to come back and show we could play with a great football team like Davenport. Well, they've got a great football team, and it's been two years in a row. It's been just a slobber knocker between us and those guys. I don't expect anything different. I hope our kids are ready. I know their kids will be, and hopefully it'll be a great matchup in the Sweet 16.
The Sand Crabs look to repeat the same story on this Friday, taking on Lavernia at 2 p.m. This game looks to be a close one. The previous matchup was only a 2-point difference that saw Calhoun walk away with the victory. Best of luck to both of them. Location is unannounced, but once again, make sure you stay tuned on KAVU as we will keep you guys updated. And that does it for your sports. But speaking of a team that does have a confirmed location, is the Ganado Indians taking on the Refugio. That game will be in Port Lavaca at Sand Crab Stadium. But that does it for your sports. Until next time, I'm Ray Robinson.
Thank you, Ray. All right, we want to invite y'all to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can stream our daily newscast and much more using your connected TV. Just download Crossroads Today Plus on your Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, or Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. Overnight, China and Canada reacting to President-elect Trump's call to impose tariffs on those countries in addition to Mexico. Trump is calling for a 25% tariff on goods coming from Canada and Mexico and an additional 10% tariff on all things coming from China. Trump says the tariffs will be part of his day one executive actions.
This morning, President-elect Trump promising to impose a 25% tariff on all products coming into the U.S. from Canada and Mexico. Trump blaming both countries for the wave of undocumented immigrants and illegal drugs in the U.S. Trump says the tariffs will stay in effect until Canada and Mexico solve what he calls a long-simmering problem.
Broad-based tariffs across the board, that's going to lead to more inflation.
The tariffs may violate a trade agreement between the U.S., Mexico, and Canada that was signed by Trump in 2019. It allows for mostly free trade between the three countries.
The USMCA is the fairest, most balanced, and beneficial trade agreement we have ever signed into law. It's the best agreement we've ever made.
Trump also calling for an additional 10% tariff on products coming from China. The Chinese embassy in Washington says the trade cooperation between the U.S. and China has been mutually beneficial, and no one will win a trade war or a tariff war. Canada's Deputy Prime Minister and Public Safety Minister jointly saying Canada will continue to discuss these issues with the incoming administration. It comes as Special Counsel Jack Smith has moved to dismiss his cases against Trump. That includes the election interference case and classified documents case. The judge overseeing the election interference case dismissing the case yesterday. Justice Department policy prohibits Smith from prosecuting a sitting president. Smith writing in court documents, the government's position on the merits of the defendant's prosecution has not changed, but the circumstances have. Trump has denied all wrongdoing in both cases. Trump writing online, the cases are empty and lawless and should have never been brought. Perry Russom, ABC News, Washington.
Just a few days before Thanksgiving, two turkeys have something to be thankful for: a pardon. At the White House Monday, President Biden observed a Thanksgiving week tradition by pardoning two turkeys, Peach and Blossom. More than 2,000 White House staff and guests filled the South Lawn at the White House to watch the ceremony, which is always done in good fun. This was the fourth time President Biden has granted mercy to a pair of birds ahead of Thanksgiving. The time is now 6:47 on our Tuesday morning. Still to come on Sunrise. Many of you may have noticed your emails getting stuck in your outbox yesterday. We explain what may have happened. All right, it's time to celebrate some birthdays. Happy birthday to Domani. Happy third birthday to our little boss man, Domani. We enjoyed helping you celebrate your birthday over the weekend. Family means everything, and we will always be here for you. Love always, Daddy and Mommy.
That's so sweet. Look at that picture. Happy birthday to Monty. And also happy birthday to Sally. Happy 60th birthday to Mom. Today we celebrate you and your immeasurable impact on my life. Thank you for all the love, patience, and understanding you've ever given me. We all love you. Love always, from Savannah, Baby Raymond, Roman, and Big Raymond.
Happy birthday to Edward and Becky. Want to wish a happy belated birthday to you and many more to come.
Happy birthday, Edward and Becky, and also happy birthday to singer, songwriter, and actress Rita Ora. She's turning 34 today. Happy birthday, Rita. And to see your birthday wish live on 25 News Now Sunrise, come to crossroadstoday.com, click the home tab, and then click the drop-down menu, and then you'll see submit your birthday photo.
All right, the time is now, looking at our clock up here, it is 6:48 on our Tuesday morning. Happy birthday if you're celebrating one today.
That's right, happy birthday. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, good morning, Crossroads. I'm sure you heard me talking about we've got 4 fronts in the forecast. That sounds like almost too good to be true, right? Well, front number 1 came through us last night. You can see the remnants of it all the way down there in the Gulf. The big system that was responsible for that is all the way up in the Great Lakes right now. But the second front coming away on Thanksgiving Day. It'll actually be coming through during the day on Thanksgiving Day, Thursday, this week. It's coming from the second half, the remainder of this, this low that we've been talking about all last week. It's split in two. We got the first half of it just last night, and the second half of it is actually moving over the Rockies right now, and that's going to send us the front on Thursday. But then here comes front 3 and number 4. Right, four fronts over the next 10 days. The front number 1 was last night. Number 3 is going to be right here off this big system out in the deep Pacific, and number 4 is right there. You can actually see it a little bit better here on the upper air tracker. Blue is colder air, obviously. That's 2 to 3 miles high, and red is warmer, obviously. You can see here's front number 2 coming on Thanksgiving Day, Thursday, as the second half of that remnants of that low that started dying off goes over the Rockies. Then here comes front number 3 going into this weekend. It's going to be on Saturday night into Sunday morning when that one arrives. And then here comes that other low, bringing us another front sometime on Tuesday. I'm thinking actually it's going to be on Wednesday. But with the fronts coming back and forth all the way into this weekend, we're going to be on that temperature roller coaster. And I know what you're all thinking. Fronts, that means rain, right? No, unfortunately, we are going to be very dry. Maybe picking up a couple sprinkles in Texas for the next 5 days. But we're going to look at all that more coming up later on Sunrise.
A major tech glitch caused issues for Microsoft users on Monday. The software giant says the problem resulted in an Outlook and Teams outage for many companies worldwide. The tracking site Down Detector says more than 5,000 reports were made by Monday afternoon, but officials say many more people are likely having issues. Microsoft issued a statement saying it had deployed a fix. By late Monday evening, most Outlook and Teams services had been restored. The Thanksgiving travel period is here. The TSA expects a record number of people to fly from today through Monday. It predicts Sunday will be the busiest air travel day of the year in terms of passenger count. But the FAA seems more focused on today. The FAA expects to have the most airplanes in the sky today. Its administrator says that could make staffing a struggle. AAA predicts 71.7 million people will drive 50 or more miles for Thanksgiving. It says lower gas prices are a factor. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. An LA County Superior Court decided to postpone a resentencing hearing. Millions of Americans with obesity could be eligible to have popular weight loss drugs like Wegovy or Ozempic covered by Medicare or Medicaid under a new rule. The the Biden administration proposed this morning. While the rule would give millions of people access to weekly injectables that have helped people shed pounds quickly, it would cost taxpayers as much as $35 billion over the next decade. A bipartisan coalition of congressional members have lobbied for the drugs to be covered by Medicare, saying it would save the government from spending billions of dollars on treating chronic ailments that stem from obesity. An LA County Superior Court decided to postpone a resentencing hearing for the Menendez brothers until the end of January. Eric and Lyle Menendez virtually appeared in front of a judge for the first time in 28 years. After some tech problems at the start of the hearing, the court did hear testimony from two elder relatives who were both in favor of resentencing. Now the resentencing hearing will be pushed back until January 30th and 31st. California is creating such high quantities of solar energy that major commercial operators are being forced to curtail production. It's an issue shining light on the state's plan to fully move into carbon-free electricity sources. The LA Times says that in the last 12 months, solar farms have cut production of more than 3 million megawatt hours of solar energy. The production reduction equates to enough power supply for more than 500,000 California homes on average over a year's time. The curtailed production has more than doubled since 2021. And we want to invite you to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, or your Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. And now we have plenty of time to get a look at our forecast with Parker. Parker, that beautiful sunrise.
That's right, beautiful sunrise and also quite cloudy as well, right on time. The clouds have started showing up. If you had to go see that sunrise this morning, I might recommend a jacket. It's a little bit still a little bit chilly, sitting at 54 on the coast. Y'all are also a little bit chilly, a little bit humid as well, with the dew point 10 degrees off, bring humidities to around 70%. But today it's going to be a lovely day all across our beautiful state. Today we're looking for 60s and 70s, even down here in deep South Texas near us. We're in the low 70s, but then tomorrow the southerly winds return, and you know what that means with that beaming sun. We're right back into the mid-upper 80s. We're right back to where we should be, warm Texas. But looking a little closer to home today, I'm thinking 71 for today's high in Port Lavaca. Mostly cloudy skies starting to decrease sometime in the mid to late afternoon. And that's going to continue for all of us today, including Victoria. We're looking for 73 for the high today in Victoria, and about the same thing at Cuero at around 73. Also clouds, like I said, decreasing in the mid to late afternoon before they actually increase as we go into the overnight hours. But looking at your Thanksgiving travel cast, I'm sure a lot of y'all are going to be traveling this Thanksgiving holiday week. It's looking pretty great if you ask me, all the way into this weekend as well. We're not expecting really a drop of rain, maybe a couple sprinkles, but the further north you go, you notice it gets a little bit cooler down to the 50s. That's because we're expecting another front to come on Thanksgiving Day, and even down here we're expecting that front. That's going to drop our highs down into the nice and cool or low 70s, some even the upper 60s for Thanksgiving Day, and then we're only in the highs of the 60s going into this weekend and into next week as well. It's looking a little bit cool, Carolina.
Well, I love that new graphic, that Texas travel graphic
Did you like that?
Yeah, you better put that online.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, well, thank y'all for being with us and join Shauna, Don, Maclovio, Max as well tonight for 25 News Now at 5, 6, and 10. Have a great turkey day.